Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode. And in today's special video, we'll be looking at a pair of Chukka Boots made by the legendary Mario Bemer himself for me. Coming up. Hello everyone, and depending when you're on the world, I want to wish you Merry Christmas, Happy upcoming New Year. This is the last video that I'm going to shoot for 2021, so I left something quite special for the ending. And I hope you're all been good, and your year was, well, it was turbulent, but let's hope it was good overall. For me, it has been fantastic. I moved to a new country, my business is growing, I feel calmer, I'm happier. I got a lot of new shoes, and overall life is not bad at all. And most importantly, I'm healthy. So how do we cap off this year? Well, lucky for me, I have just the pair of shoes to do that. And probably a lot of you don't know, but I have been corresponding and talking to Mario Bemer, one of the best bespoke shoemakers in the world, for a couple of years now, since I started writing on my blog and I got one of his comments and we connected that way. And 2 years later, here I am actually in his birthplace in Florence, learning how to make shoes. So talk about a coincidence or like a twist of fate, right? So Mario, he was the brother of the late Stefano Bemer, another legendary Florentine shoemaker that unfortunately passed away about 8-9 years ago. And they were working very closely with Mario before to make bespoke shoes, to teach students, including, for example, Justin Fitzpatrick. And he's just one of the best. However, after his brother's passing, he went his own way. He moved to the US and kept a more low profile, where he was making more bespoke shoes for for clients instead of ready to wear or mass produced, etc. So we've been talking a lot, and I expressed some interest last year, I think, a year and a half, that I wanted to make a pair of shoes. And he was like, I'd love to. And that was great. So I told him, you know what, let's make a Chukka boot. But the thing is, I gave him full creative, freedom to do whatever he wants. So I really didn't know what to expect. So these were pretty much a surprise for me. And what happened was that he gave me just some ideas. Like, we discussed that I would like Norwegian stitching, or like the Horween, maybe Hat's grain, or like Russian calf replica. And here we are. He just sent me a prototype drawing one day and I totally forgot about it. And maybe like a month ago, I actually met him in Florence, which was a really surreal experience. Great, we had dinner. And after that he said, oh, I have your shoes. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I was not expecting that. And here we go. So today, I mean, every bespoke shoe is very different, and it's not just a review, it's part review, part showcase, but I still want to take a moment, well, a lot of minutes, and talk about the shoes and everything that like we usually do here in depth. So I'm gonna do a close-up, we're gonna analyze everything, and in the end I'm gonna tell you how this pair makes me feel. So let's get going. I'm really excited to show you this. First of all, I pretty much will go straight into the shoes, but let's do a very quick intro about the box. The box is not something special. I don't ask Mario to give me, fancy stuff with wood and overly heavy. So this is just a nice box he got me, quite sturdy. It's very simple, there's no branding. He's working on some ready-to-wear stuff, so that will be taken care of. And inside, of course, you get your shoes. He also made me some really nice, simple, sort of, flannelish shoe bags, branded, both of them. Works really nice. There's, of course, some tissue paper, and that's it. He also, very interestingly, made me a shoehorn, which is from the same leather, and it's handmade from the same leather as my shoes. So that's actually quite cool, even though I have many shoe trees and shoe bags and shoe horns. I never had something like this to match the actual shoes. So let's move on to the star of the show. And the star of the show is the boots themselves. And they are pretty spectacular. And they also have a few very interesting elements and design choices that I haven't seen before in at least something conventional that you can find, you know, on a store just by looking at them. They're very interesting and creative. So to begin with, I mean, we've already talked many times about Chukka Boots. In fact, the last video was probably about the Chukka Boot. And it's a very interesting model, a staple in a man's wardrobe, color sort of mid to dark brown, I say mid brown with a sort of museum elements to it. And of course, 3 eyelets as always, the side panels. The difference is the leather, the shape of the toe, and some broguing on the back that we will talk about, and a very interesting back seam, or well, sort of lack thereof. And that's about the actual design. First of all, I would like to talk about the leather itself. We've already discussed the Meta Catarina Russian reindeer leather in the Paolo Scafora chukkas that I made. And this is also a Horween replica, so Russian calf you would call it. It has a very interesting tight grain to it. You can barely see from afar that it's not, let's say, calf. It's a very, very, very good job. There are some people that talk about this leather that it loses some oils and that it will patina heavily and crease heavily, especially from Horween. So if you're the person that wants their shoes to be immaculate, even though leather creases, that's what it does, then maybe you should stay away from this particular leather. It is very subtle, very rich, very nice grain. The finishing is phenomenal. I really like that it has this sort of proper mottled effect. You can see, I don't think he was going for a museum effect, but it reminds me of that. Very nice. The leather feels very high quality, and I expected nothing else, honestly, at this price point. And that's about the leather. It's rare, it's beautiful, it's supple, it's high quality, everything that I would expect. At times I don't want to wear them. And then we have the last, which is very, we say, aggressive, soft square. And it's accentuated by the fact that the welt is a bit chunkier and the outsole is a bit chunkier. I like it very much. You can see it from the back as well, with the installation of metal toe tip, which is very flush. I like it very much. And of course you have the Norwegian construction that you can see here. It's a chain stitch, and I can see at least sort of 3 here. You can see that there is one on the top, one on the bottom, and sort of one in the middle connecting everything. But what's more interesting for me is that the way that it goes back here and it disappears, it goes into the leather pretty much, like a hidden channel, and that's really cool. I don't think I've seen these before. It is a very interesting aesthetic element that I noticed immediately, and it's something else. Also, the choice of thread, really nice. It doesn't match the upper, so it does make a contrast. Very interesting, very beautifully made. Very, very, very happy to see this work, you know, up close, and just can't believe that these are mine. What else to say? Of course, at the back here you have a really nice, expertly made heel block. Everything is nice and stacked. There are small details like some markings here. It's quite tapered for this kind of look, which I kind of like on this model. What else? There is a very, very interesting broguing pattern here that extends to the back. And honestly, I'm very happy about this, because I told Mario, well, do whatever you want. And I wasn't sure what he would come up with. I only knew it was going to be a Chukka boot. So he came up with this, instead of putting, you know, unnecessary details maybe here. A very nice, interesting brogue pattern at the back. And also, And even more interesting, very clean vaccine, by the way. Very interesting, here you have like sort of like a hole, right? And I'm like, I've never seen that. What's the point? So when a shoemaker or like a bespoke shoemaker is trying to take your measurements or bend, or when you go down on your knees and your foot goes like this, that means that the back of your foot, above the Achilles, is pushing against this area, right? And if it's stiff, if it doesn't fit well, it can hurt. So he made this little hole here, so you can see that the back of your foot will go here and not hurt or not bother you and be very, very comfortable. That's very interesting. Very nice laces. They have a little bit of weights at the tip, which is just a nice small touch. And when it comes to the actual sole, I've noticed that with the exception of Macariello, they don't really do those really massive fiddle back waist, super tight and everything. And I think that's because they care more about the actual shoe and the whole aesthetic, and that they try to convey and show what they really feel, instead of focusing on details that just the crowd wants, like being a crowd pleaser. But this is still a very, very nice sole. It has a slight bevel at the waist, quite a round one here, and the sole is quite thick. I'm not sure if this is a double sole actually, but it feels high quality. The metal toe tips are very flush, and overall very, very satisfied. Everything is polished as I expect it to be. You cannot really see the channels. There are some markings here and there around the waist. The construction is great. And when it comes to the inside, not much to show you because mostly the light conditions, but it works really well. It's leather, of course, has a full sock liner, and the outside matches the inside or vice versa. Very, very nice. Simple. The tongue has a little bit of more padding, it seems, or a bit more leather at the edge. I think it's to be softer like around your foot area. And that's about it. I didn't ask Mario to make me proper last stitch shoe trees. That was probably my mistake. Honestly, I didn't care that much, and I know that he can make for you if you really need, especially since this is not a bespoke project. But cedar shoe trees, he brought me some. I didn't ask for any. Thank him very much for this. Simple, effective. And I think that concludes the close-up of the Chukka Boots. I think they look really nice. Let me show you a few more angles. So here and here from the top, very, very nice shape. I think they look exceptional from the side as well. Here, very, very nice. Very excited to wear them and tell you my thoughts. I think this will be something special. Let's move on. And that was it. So now you know the backstory, you also saw the close-up, so you know sort of what to expect or what happened. Since the video of the close-up, I've actually worn the shoes quite a lot because I wanted to give some more feedback about how the leather ages, how the sole fares, so you will see that the sole is actually used now. And there is some minor creasing, and there are some things that I will address here and now. First of all, I would like to talk about sizing, since this is not exactly bespoke, but it is bespoke equality. I gave Mario my usual measurements, and the most important for him was to give my Stefano Bemer sizing on the S-last. You can check the video I also have on that, because that's the same last like Stefano used, so Mario is very familiar with it. And what he concluded was that I should probably take the same size, which is a UK 8.5 or US 9.5, which is half a size up from my usual. Of course, for each sizing recommendation, I really recommend you talk to him, for example, and figure out the exact details. But for me, it was definitely the right choice for a very nice, comfortable fit. So when we were at the workshop, we tried them on, and I could immediately feel, and he could see, that was very interesting, the small differences that my foot has. For example, he could see that the right one here, I do have a higher instep. So this pair, the right one, was very nice and a little snugger here on the instep, and slightly, very slightly narrower on the widest point here. While the left shoe was a bit more like not loose, but more comfortable on the instep. And that's how you adjust for future lasts. And of course, he said that Costas, no problem, I can change it and make you a new pair if you want. That was my terrible Italian English accent. And of course I did not. I actually really enjoyed the fit. There is just enough space here. There's pretty good room on the instep. There is a lot of room to play with if I want, with thicker socks or more dressy socks. Most important for me was when I took them out for a photo shoot and to wear them, I walked about 8 kilometers the first go without breaking in, which is usually a mistake. But it worked really well. They were very comfortable and the support underneath was very good. And that brings me to the second point. I've read a lot on the internet that the Horween Russian calf and hat grains tend to crease a lot, and the oils, dissipate with time, and it can lead to more pronounced creasing. Now, I will see how this ends up. First of all, it's leather, it will crease, so yeah, don't buy leather if you don't want creases. Buy maybe cordovan. But so far this has made some really gentle creases, and I think it will age really well. This sort of a bit mottled, not patina exactly, it looks a bit like museum patina on it. I think it will age wonderfully with time. The sole is very robust. I mean, you can see that after walking, I think I've walked about 12 kilometers in total in these soles, and they still look phenomenal. Very nice. Of course, I always recommend metal toe tips. Everything screams high quality. And I remember when I had to relace my shoes, like how helpful this was, the back, when I actually had to go drop down and do it. It was pretty cool, and I've never thought about it. Now, I would like to talk more about overall quality and aesthetics, as well as the pricing, and let's get that out of the way first. So for a pair of these, you should expect to pay anywhere between $2,000 and $2,500 US. Of course, these are fully handmade shoes. These take maybe 60, 80 hours to produce. A fully handmade shoe without machinery. So hence the pricing, and also you pay the expertise. And I can tell you this is an expertly crafted pair of shoes. I'm very proud to own one. So the way to really get one of these is to contact Mario directly. He's active maybe on Instagram or via email, and his US website. Now about the polishing. While we were having dinner, we were discussing the different shoemaking schools and how we would sum them up. For example, for me, British is boring, and most interestingly, we were talking about, for example, Japanese shoes, which are probably the best in the world at the moment when it comes to perfection. Now, that was my problem. It's not like I don't like them or I don't want them, but sometimes they are too perfect, right? So that's why I like all these hand-painted patinas and those little handmade nuances. They make me feel special. What I look right now for a pair of shoes is to get a warm feeling, to get the history, to generally this warmth that it gives me, and you could call it fizz in English maybe. So you could see that, for example, the welt is pretty chunky, and overall compared to, let's say, Paolo Scafora, who's, as Mario called him, an artist, and they are, obsessed with little details and finesse. This is a bit more rugged, and you can say that this pair has a lot of heart, if it's not a cliche to say. And that concludes, I think, pretty much everything I had to say about the shoes. I've been speaking a lot about them already. I think they are phenomenal, and for me it's like I'm wearing a piece of history in my, on my feet, just where I started and where I am and what I'm about to do. And I had Mario Bemer himself make me shoes and drop down on his knees and fit me. that was quite a surreal experience, and I'm grateful that I had such a engrossing, amazing 2021. So for the next year, I hope we have more shoes, more reviews, and most importantly, health. But that pretty much concludes the video for me. I don't know what to say. These videos are usually unscripted, so I just say my thoughts. And sometimes when I review pairs like these, I'm quite speechless, or I have to repeat myself. It's a really surreal experience to hold something that one of your idols or the people you respect and look up to made himself. And that's about it, my friends. I hope you really enjoyed this showcase / review of my Mario Bemer Chukka Boots in Horween Russian Gulf. I'm going to wear them as much as I can. They are quite easy to wear. Honestly, anything but a very high-end formal business shoot is game. They will look great in jeans and chinos, and as you might see in some sort of more casual suit with a bit more patterns or texture. And I hope I will see you in the next videos, but before that, please remember, if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, press the notification button. As you can see, the content here is quite large and varies from entry level to super high end, which is really interesting. And yep, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm very happy to have you here, and I would like to hear your comments and thoughts down in the comment field, or you can send me an email as always, or recommend something that you would like to see from the channel, or a brand that I can maybe review. So if we don't speak again, I wish you again Merry Christmas and Happy New Year with health, love and prosperity, and a lot of shoes. But before you go, let's see if we can end the year on a high with a really bad dad joke. So, how does a sheep say Merry Christmas? Feliz Navidad. Oh. Yep, well, what did you expect? Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful end of the year, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.